Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over 10 of the best cars that I think new players should own in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now some of these are going to be really cheap so that new players will be able to access them easier. Some of these are also going to be kind of expensive, but there's something that you should probably save up for as a new player. A lot of these vehicles are going to make your time in Grand Theft Auto Online just a lot easier. Some vehicles on here are going to be armored, some vehicles in here are going to be the best vehicle in a class or a good vehicle in a class. Anyway guys, let's get into it. We're going to start off with number 10. So guys, at number 10 we have the Insurgent. Now the Insurgent is a really good armored vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. The Insurgent is just very capable in general. It's good at doing very many things. It can take a substantial amount of rockets, and it can take an absolute ton of gunfire. The only thing that the Insurgent doesn't really do well is actually protect its occupants from gunfire. However, the vehicle itself can take quite a lot. The Insurgent is also a formidable off-roader in this game. It is absolutely fantastic, and for being a absolutely massive armored vehicle, it is actually very quick. The Insurgent also only costs $675,000, which might sound like a lot, but honestly these days in Grand Theft Auto Online, 675 grand for a vehicle that is as good as the Insurgent is not really a lot of money at all. Anyway guys, that is it for number 10. Definitely pick up an Insurgent if you are a new player. Let's move on to number 9. Alright guys, next up at number 9 we have the Bravado Buffalo STX. Now this thing is a little bit on the expensive side. This thing goes for $1,625,000 for the base price without upgrades. Now the reason that this car is on the list is, first of all, it is the fastest muscle car in the game. So if you're going to do muscle car races in GTA Online, this is a car that you are going to want to have. On top of that, it is actually a really good handling 4-door vehicle in this game, so it's good for that as well. And on top of all of that, it is equipable with Imani Tech. If you guys are unfamiliar with what Imani Tech is, that is an upgrade that you can equip within your agency in Grand Theft Auto Online. Imani Tech can either be a remote control device that will allow you to remotely control your car and drive it, or you can equip it with a missile lock-on jammer. The missile lock-on jammer is definitely the better of the two options. It stops players from having the ability to even lock onto your vehicle, which can save your ass a lot of the time. On top of that, it is also equipable with armor, which can take up to 6 RPG rockets or 12 homing rockets. And on top of that, you can also equip it with a proximity slick oil mine dropper, which is really good. If people are chasing you, you can drop an oil mine behind you, and if they hit it, they will go sliding out of control for about 4 seconds and then eventually regain control of their vehicle. And last but not least, with the Bravado Buffalo STX, you can also equip it with machine guns. As you guys can see, this thing has machine guns on it, and these machine guns are actually pretty good. They're some of the best in the game. Not the best, but they are among the best for sure. Anyway guys, the Bravado Buffalo STX is definitely a car that I would recommend picking up if you guys have a lot of spare money. But anyway guys, there's some more cars ahead of this thing that are even better, so let's get into them. Alright guys, and next up at number 8 we have the Italia GTO. This is one of the best cars in the entire game, and in the sports category, it is the best sports car. The GTO is an absolutely fantastic vehicle. Not only does it look amazing, but it is also literally the fastest sports car around a racetrack in Grand Theft Auto Online. And in free mode, it is also very good. This car has a really weird suspension setup on it, which allows the car to accelerate even harder when you start going over bumps. The roads of Los Santos are a little bit bumpy on occasion, which allows this car to accelerate very quickly. Not to mention, it also has a pretty good top speed, and it's just generally a very good car. So I would recommend picking up this thing if you plan on doing some sports class races, and regardless of if you plan on doing sports class races, it is still a really good car to just have. Now the GTO is another pretty expensive option here. It comes in at $1.9 million, which is a little bit steep, I know, especially for some new players. However, for that price, you do get an absolutely fantastic vehicle. Anyway guys, that's it for number 8. Let's move on to number 7. Alright guys, next up at number 7, we have the Akula. The Akula is my favorite helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online, and it is definitely one that you are going to want to own as soon as possible when you start out in this game. Now, in order to actually upgrade the Akula, you're also going to need a hangar, which can be a little bit expensive. So this option is definitely going to be one that you're going to want to do as soon as possible, but also you're going to need to have the money for it. So you might have to wait a little while. Now, what makes the Akula such a great helicopter is that it is armed to the teeth. It has bombs that you can drop out of the bottom of it, on top of your opponents or any AI that you're fighting. It also has equipable rocket pods, which you can either have as homing rockets or a barrage. The barrage shoots 4 missiles in very, very rapid succession. The homing missiles, well, they home. You can lock onto vehicles and shoot your rockets at them. You can also completely spam fire them, so the barrage honestly really isn't that worth it. I would just get homing missiles if you can. On top of that, the Akula can also seat up to 4 players, which is really, really good for an attack helicopter. But the best feature about the Akula truly is that it can go off of the radar. If I press H on keyboard, right now when the guns fold in on the sides of this thing and I lose the ability to actually shoot, the Akula is off of the radar. That means no other players in your entire session can even see you on the minimap. Whether they go on the large map, the minimap, it doesn't matter. They will not be able to see you when you are flying the Akula, which is amazing. That is such a great feature. You can sneak up on people if you want to run some cargo, stuff like that. You can take the Akula and you can go off the radar, so other players won't really know of your position. The Akula is truly a very goated helicopter, and it is also the second fastest helicopter in the entire game. Pretty much the Akula is a must own in this game for any player, but especially if you get this thing when you are pretty new to GTA Online, you are going to have a huge advantage over most players. So anyway guys, definitely pick up the Akula if you can afford it. Let's move on to the next one at number 6. Alright guys, next up at number 6 we have the Toreador, or the Toreador, depends how you want to say it. This thing was added with the Cayo Perico Heist DLC, and it is truly one of the best vehicles in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. The vehicle comes with machine guns, which are pretty darn good, and it also comes with lock-on missiles that you can fire out of the front of it. Now these missiles in particular are pretty amazing. They have some of the best tracking in the entire game, so they are really, really good for defending yourself or attacking other players, especially Oppressor Mark IIs. These missiles have such good tracking that they can track a Mark II no problem at all and almost always kill them. If you can get a lock on and get a missile off, pretty much the Mark II is guaranteed to die. And a lot of the time they don't really expect it. On top of that, the Toreador also is a 4-seater, so you can ride around in this thing with 3 other players, and it has a rocket boost function, which allows this thing to accelerate very, very quickly, obviously, and maintain a pretty good cruising speed. Now the Toreador is also really armored, which is another good feature about this car. And last but not least, this thing is actually a submarine car. As you guys can see, if I hold H on keyboard, folds away, and this thing actually becomes a submarine. So it is a 4-player submarine with a boost that you can activate underwater, as well as it is an absolutely formidable opponent for Oppressor Mark IIs on land. Overall, the Toreador is just a really solid vehicle. I would definitely recommend picking this thing up to pretty much anyone in Grand Theft Auto Online, but especially if you are a new player. The Toreador is absolutely fantastic. Anyway guys, that's it for number 6. Let's move on to number 5. Alright guys, next up at number 5 we have the Terabyte, and within the Terabyte we have the Oppressor Mark II. Now I hate the Oppressor Mark II with a burning passion, however it is a really good vehicle. But in order to actually upgrade the Oppressor Mark II, you need to have a Terabyte. Now the Terabyte is on this list as well because it is one of the more armored vehicles in the entire game. This is actually the second most armored vehicle in the game, right behind the MOC cab. Now the Terabyte is basically a big, huge moving base for you. You can launch resupply missions from this thing for your MC businesses, your bunker, and you can also source cargo from it, I believe. As well as with the Terabyte, you also have access to a few unique missions that pay pretty well. So the Terabyte is not all bad. Of course, within the Terabyte is more what we are talking about though. This is the Oppressor Mark II. Mine isn't even upgraded because I literally just bought this thing again because I sold it before. The Oppressor Mark II comes with a machine gun stock, which you can use against opponents, but it's really not that good. Really what you want to do with this thing is upgrade it and put the missiles on it and be, well, a scumbag. I know not everybody who uses the Mark II is a scumbag. It is a really great utensil for fighting and also for grinding in this game. So I can't hate on it too much. it is a really annoying vehicle. However, if you plan on grinding with it, I completely respect it. However, if you're going to be a weirdo with it and just grief random players, I do not respect that at all. I just want to throw that out there. The Mark II definitely is one of the more useful vehicles in this game, especially like I say for grinding. You can get around the map very quickly with this thing, way faster than you can in a car. Despite this thing's top speed not being that great, honestly, you can go point to point as the crow flies. It does definitely help out a bit. Anyway guys, I think that's pretty much it for number 5. We have the Terabyte and the Mark II oppressor. Anyway, let's move on to number 4. Alright guys, and the next vehicle that we have on the list at number 4 is of course the Kasatka. Now the Kasatka is one of the best vehicles in the game. Now I'm sure that 90% of you guys know all about the Kasatka and just how good it is, but for those of you that don't, I've got some explaining to do here. So the Kasatka is actually a drivable nuclear submarine in this game. I'm sure many of you are aware of that. Now the Kasatka definitely does have some really great features. Obviously, one of those being that when you go underneath the surface of the water with this thing, you actually disappear from the radar, very similar to how the Akula operates. And so long as your submarine is submerged, other players cannot see you. So you can get around the map completely stealthily with the Kasatka, which is really nice, honestly. Now the Kasatka is definitely not the fastest vehicle ever, that is for sure. Having the ability to go off the radar and just hide from other players is really nice. Now on top of that, the Kasatka also has the ability to fast travel, which costs $2,000 once you have completed the Cayo Perico heist, which is really cheap. So if you guys need to get away from some players really quickly, you can super quickly get up to Paleto Forest if you want for only $2,000. As you guys can see, the submarine will start moving, and next thing you know, you will actually be completely across the map. As you guys can see, here we are in Paleto Bay. So having the ability to teleport around is definitely a very great feature. Now of course the Kasatka's best ability is to actually launch the Cayo Perico heist. This is one of the best ways to make money in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. Honestly, it is the best way to make money in Grand Theft Auto Online, so you should definitely consider doing it. When you get really good at doing the Cayo Perico heist, you can pretty much do it within an hour, setups and heist in total, and you will effectively make around $1.5 million per hour, which is some of the best money you can make in this game. Now the Kasatka is also a pretty well armored vehicle. It does occasionally have a glitch where players can destroy it really quickly, which is a shame, but it's just part of the vehicle. It does also have guided missiles which you can launch out of this thing at players that are going to be on the beach, pretty much wherever you want. I think the missiles have a maximum range of 4 miles, so they got some pretty good distance on them. And on top of that, the periscope gun is also pretty unique. It can launch missiles at a very rapid pace, and it can also lock on to any opponents that are coming at you in helicopters or planes or oppressors. I've actually killed several Oppressor Mark IIs with this thing, so it's actually pretty darn good. Anyway guys, that is pretty much it for the Kasatka. However, there is one more thing, but that is going to tie into the vehicle that is at number 3. So anyway guys, let's move on to number 3. Now to get to number 3, we really don't have to go that far because it is actually within the Kasatka. And the vehicle that I'm talking about is of course the Sparrow. The Sparrow is the fastest helicopter in all of Grand Theft Auto Online, and it is also one of the most convenient vehicles in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. The Sparrow is equipable with very spammable homing missiles, which is a very good feature. The only thing that the Sparrow doesn't really do well is protect you. This thing is pretty much piss weak. However, it is totally worth it to buy still. It is the fastest helicopter in the game, and like I was saying before, it is a very convenient helicopter. When you actually go to spawn this thing in, it will spawn literally right beside you at all times, which is super awesome if you're trying to get out of a location really quickly, if players are fighting you or attacking you, or you're grinding and you want to get across the map really fast. You can spawn this thing in right beside you, and then it is literally the fastest helicopter in the entire game. So you can get where you need to go very quickly. And of course, it really helps for doing Cayo Perico heist setups because you can quickly land this thing back in the Kasatka and finish your setup missions super fast. So anyway guys, there you have it. The Sparrow and the Kasatka kind of go hand in hand. They're both absolutely fantastic vehicles. The Sparrow is just a little bit better though, I feel like, as far as convenience sake goes. However, for making money, the Kasatka is the undisputed GOAT. Anyway guys, let's move on to number 2. Alright guys, at number 2 we of course have the Canis Seminole. Literally the best vehicle in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. Now I know what you're thinking, you must be joking. I am not. The Canis Seminole is actually a good vehicle. Coming in at a hot $30,000. It is one of the most expensive vehicles in the entire game, but for the price, it is totally worth it. The Canis Seminole is an absolute beast off-roader. It is an amazing looking vehicle on top of that, and the performance of this thing is pretty much unrivaled. Everybody says that the DREER is one of the best cars in the game. They're completely lying. They're just uninformed, really. The Canis Seminole is actually the fastest vehicle in the game. If you were able to take this thing into a supercars race, you would definitely win. I wouldn't even think twice about it. The Seminole is just unbelievably good. On a serious note, the Canis Seminole is actually a pretty good off-road vehicle. It's honestly not bad. It's kind of surprising how good it is. But yeah, guys, the Canis Seminole definitely is a car that every player should own in this game. I'm trying to put the Canis Seminole on, so if you guys could do me a favor and buy one, or just steal one off the street, it would make my day. If you guys are in my Discord, I would love to see your Canis Seminole pictures. If you have any Canis Seminole pictures, please share them. Anyway, guys, that is it for the number 2 best vehicle on the list. I would have put this thing at number 1, however, I felt like it's just, you know, I don't want players to buy it too much. You know, I want more people to get it, but I don't want too many people to buy it. So there is one vehicle ahead of this thing, and we're gonna get into it right now. Alright guys, and the number 1 vehicle that I would recommend every new player to buy in Grand Theft Auto Online is of course the HVY Night Shark. The Night Shark is the fastest and most armored vehicle in the entire game. And now I'm not saying that this thing is the fastest vehicle in the game, and I'm not saying it's the most armored, but it is the best of both worlds combined. The Night Shark is an absolutely fantastic vehicle. It can take 27 Oppressor Mark II rockets, and I believe something along the lines of 12 RPGs, which is absolutely crazy. On top of that, it is super maneuverable, super light feeling, but it also packs enough of a punch to bash any car that is in your way out of your way. It's a fantastic off-road vehicle as well. Really, it's just an all-arounder that is just super great. It is also equipable with window plating, like you guys can see right here, which doesn't really help that much, but it can trick players into thinking that they cannot hit you. I have it on this one, but I also have a Night Shark that doesn't have any window plating. That is more what I would recommend for you guys, is to have the one without window plating. You will be a little bit more exposed to regular gunfire in that, but you will have the ability to throw sticky bombs and shoot out of it. Now the Night Shark also has quad machine guns on the front of it, as you guys can see right here. The machine guns are pretty piss weak, but having the ability to actually have them is really nice. Overall, if you guys want a really solid vehicle to protect you guys in GTA Online, as well as be really quick, the Night Shark is pretty much the GOAT. The Night Shark is the one vehicle that I recommend to every new player that I talk to in Grand Theft Auto Online whenever they ask me what car they should buy. Now this thing does come in at nearly $1.3 million, but it is pretty much worth every penny. Anyway guys, there you have it. That has been my top 10 vehicles that I would recommend for new players to buy in Grand Theft Auto Online. Some of the vehicles like the Kasatka, along with the Sparrow, as well as the Akula and the Terabyte, are pretty expensive. So I definitely don't want you guys to think that I'm expecting you guys to just be able to go out and buy all of these vehicles all at once, especially as a new player. Some of them are definitely pretty expensive, and you're gonna have to save up some money for them. Once you do get the money, I would recommend picking up every single vehicle on this list, especially the Seminole. The Kasatka should probably be the first vehicle on the list that you buy, because you can make the most money with that. And on top of that, you can get the Sparrow to help you for convenience sake, and then from there on, and get all of the other vehicles that I've recommended. But anyway guys, you don't have to do any of what I said if you don't want to. Just my recommendations. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like is of course appreciated. Dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.